This is Rich Kamerman. You're listening to the 1,000 Second Album Podcast. Today, Jeff and I will be discussing the must-hear songs under 2 minutes long.
Hi, I'm Jeff Stephen, and you're listening to the 1,000 Second Album Podcast. This season, we're talking about must-hear lists as I continue to ask people that are important to me all about the music that's important to them. Enjoy. Please welcome back Rich Kamerman.
Hello, Jeff. How are you today?
Oh, life is good in yourself, Rich?
Yeah, everything is wonderful. Having a good summer.
Nice, as we both should, and it's a good summer when we get to discuss songs that are 2 minutes or less. And my question for you is: last time we chatted, it was about songs that were 10 minutes or more. And how did the challenge of finding a list of five 2 minutes or less songs go compared to the last one we did?
This was significantly more challenging for me because being a huge progressive rock fan, finding songs that are more than 10 minutes long was very easy. It was narrowing down the list. There were a lot of songs that popped into my head, and then I realized they were 205, 210. And so I had to, that's not going to happen, and that's not going to happen. And then I thought we were doing songs under 2 minutes. So I actually, any song that was exactly 2 minutes, I didn't include. So that made it even more challenging, but it ended up being a lot of fun because there are a number of songs that are excellent that are a minute 45, a minute 50. And I'm not a punk rock fan, and so you would think there's a lot of punk and hardcore songs that are really fast and a minute and a half long, but that's not my wheelhouse. So trying to find the songs that fit the criteria was a challenge, but a fun challenge, and I think I rose to the occasion.
Nice. And there's that great Bruce Cockburn line of nothing worth having comes without some kind of fight. And so if it was a
Yeah, that's
challenge for
great.
us to do this, then absolutely. And that's a great point too about that math symbol of it's not necessarily less than or equal to. If we're just going less than, that means it's got to be 159 or below. And
Yes,
so yeah, I
yes.
like that. And I had a couple too that like I think two of the ones I would have loved to include clocked in at 2:04 exactly. So they were so
And
close.
and I actually found there were a couple of songs that I was sure are maybe on the record it says 159, but when you go online, you go say to Spotify, it said 202, and that was my criteria.
No,
And so I
fair.
had to, for example, I think Billy Joel's Souvenir,
Mhm.
which is a great song. I had to omit that because it showed up as 202.
Yes, no, rules are rules, and so,
Yes.
criteria are criteria. So, but I love that it adds the constraint, which makes it all the more fun.
Uh,
And I've always enjoyed the idea of like the sort of like we talked about the pendulum swings, where there's a part of me that loves when people just have the total freedom to go 10 minutes and beyond, but then there's something to trying to make it in the interest of brevity. Like I remember my dad telling me the Canadian Prime Minister William Lyon Mackenzie King had a line saying, "I'm sorry, but I didn't have time to make the speech shorter." Where like it is a skill to edit it down. Or there was a great scene in Ocean's 11 where Brad Pitt was giving Matt Damon's character advice of like never use 7 words when you can use four, and so like those sorts of things. Like can you make it as concise as possible? And I think with our list today, I'm guessing we'll see that these folks made it just concise enough to to make it in. So
Yeah, you always have the most amazing quotes. So well done, Jeff.
much appreciated. And the question is, where did you go on your first selection, Rich?
Okay, well, as I mentioned in the preamble before we recorded, I haven't narrowed it down to five yet. So let's see. I'm going to start with the Beatles. The Beatles actually had three songs that are were on my list. Do You Want to Know a Secret from their debut album? I believe that was the first song that George Harrison sang for them. He didn't write it. Then there was from the Hard Day's Night album, there was I'm Happy Just to Dance with You. And then, of course, there's I Will from the White Album. So I'm deciding between those three, and I'm kind of leaning toward I'm Happy Just to Dance with You, another George Harrison sung song. And I had that highlighted here as opposed to the other two. I think I'm going to go with that one, but I felt like I should mention all three.
Yeah, and all three are very weird. I will showed up on my honorable mentions as well. So like
Oh, nice.
lovely, lovely song. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I like having the George Harrison inclusion too of Happy Just to Dance with You. So
Yeah.
excellent choice. I inevitably had to have the Beatles on my list as well. And so but the I went in a little bit different direction because when we did our 10 plus minute songs, we talked about how we weren't sure if the Abbey Road medley was eligible or not as a 10 plus minute. And I thought, well, with the CD version that I had, it divided it into tracks. So if I didn't deem it eligible for the 10-minute one, some of those songs would be eligible here then. And I had to go
Okay.
for McCartney's Golden Slumbers, where
Okay.
I believe it clocks in somewhere around a minute and a half. And it's part of the reason I'm including it is because if I were to find myself behind a piano, chances are this is one of the songs I'd gravitate to first because it's just got just a lovely chord progression. I love how it's not just an A minor, but he does an A minor seven in that opening sort of piano part there. And of course, when you've got the gorgeous George Martin production behind it too, and yeah, just it's wonderful. And so you're right. They have the nice problem. The Beatles had a lot of those under 2 minute ones to choose from, but I ended up going to Golden Slumbers because if I'm on a piano, that's probably where I'd go first. So it'll be my call here.
I think that's an excellent first choice. I should mention that I set a couple of rules for myself. The first one was that it needed to be under 2 minutes.
Mhm.
I also omitted instrumentals because there are a lot of instrumentals and like guitar solos that would probably that fit under 2 minutes. But I just felt like I wanted to focus on songs. And I also decided not to include anything that was part of a larger song or suite, which made it more challenging. I thought it would be fun to include a Rush song since Rush was in the previous one, but the song I thought of was actually part of a suite. So I did not include that. But those are my rules,
Yeah.
not your rules. And this is your podcast,
Yes.
so you win. And I should backtrack 1 second. Another song I thought of related to the Beatles was from McCartney's first solo album, the song Junk.
Nice. No, very good. And that's a debate I had too of whether sort of song fragments would count as well, where it's sort of it feels like almost an unfinished song if it's maybe a verse and a chorus, but it feels like it should go like sort of like a short story versus a completed novel or something like that. But no, I think I like your criteria as well. And so I guess we won't be hearing Van Halen's Eruption on your list today, regardless of his wizardry on the guitar. It wouldn't meet the criteria.
That is
Yeah.
correct. And I should mention the three instrumentals that I considered. It was Eruption by Van Halen,
Yeah.
Sirius by the Alan Parsons Project, which is a song that everybody knows. It's been featured in countless sporting events, and I think they even featured it in the World Cup. I'm not
Okay.
a soccer fan, apparently that was like a big entry song for all the teams. And then Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble have a song called Scuttle Button from their second album. And I would have loved to include Stevie Ray, but
Yeah.
it's an instrumental. So
Yeah.
those three deserve a mention because they did clock in under 2 minutes, and they're all incredible performances, but they're not on my final five.
No, we needed a vocal, and so understandable. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. The question is, which one did make it on the list from that narrowing down list of 10? What else made the cut for your second
And
one?
and of course I'm whittling it down as we speak. So I'm trying to figure out, but I'm going to go to The Wind by Cat Stevens. It's a wonderful song. His vocals are great. The guitar work is just it's precious. It's sweet. And it's one of those songs that's been in multiple movies, I believe. And so I think most people have heard it, but maybe they don't realize they don't. It's not up there with like the most well-known Cat Stevens songs. But once you hear it, you don't forget it.
Very nice. The Wind, Cat Stevens. Love it.
Yes.
Nice. And the I'd like to think it's a case of great minds thinking alike rather than fools seldom differing. But I also had a Cat Stevens tune on my list as the title track, the album closer from Tea for the Tillerman. And
Oh,
so
yes.
so if it counts as a track, it would be 106 for the running time on that one. And I just really like it as the album closer because after you've got that real emotional climax of father and son, it would probably be too much to end with that as the closing notes of Tea for the Tillerman, but just having this sort of 1 minute sort of coming back down after that huge penultimate track. I just really like how it sort of winds it down neatly. And even though the running length I think only goes for 1 minute and 6 seconds, there's the opening piano notes and then a few seconds of silence, and then it picks up again from there.
Yeah.
And so to still find space for silence in a track that's only 1 minute and 6 seconds long, I thought was amazing. And how it's so subdued, except for that giant happy day vocal that just seemingly
Yes.
comes out of nowhere. And so, yeah, but yeah, it's great because you're sort of left satisfied at the end of the album. Just ties it up neatly, and it has the favorable TV show reference. Did you ever see Ricky Gervais' show Extras?
I did.
Yeah, and I believe it was the theme song from that show as well. And so just
Yes.
yeah, so to like
Yeah.
that doesn't hurt the association either. But to join you with the second one from Cat Stevens, T for the Tillerman.
That's a great selection. I missed it. I should have included it. And it actually follows my favorite Cat Stevens song, Father and Son.
Yeah,
So,
excellent choice.
yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Good. So that's great. We've got artist overlap, but not song overlap. The question is, for the third one on the list in process, what will it be whittled down to next?
Okay. I had to go to the Beach Boys. And again, I had three Beach Boys songs that were it's a challenge to choose them. And actually, my first choice before I checked the timings was Catch a Wave, which is one of my favorites, but that was over 2 minutes long. So I had to strike it from the list. But here are the three Beach Boys songs that I had to choose from, and it was Farmer's Daughter, Don't Back Down, and Little Saint Nick. So all three are great, and of course, Little Saint Nick is played every year, and it never gets old. But I'm going to go with Farmer's Daughter, not one of their biggest songs, but there's something about the harmonies on that. There's something about Brian's falsetto, which was just jubilation. And I know that Fleetwood Mac did a cover of it on their live album. There's a performance by them on the live album from, I think it was 1979, 80, where I think it's just them backstage, just harmonizing on it. So that's
Oh,
also worth checking out. But the original by the Beach Boys is one of my favorites. So that's going to be my third choice.
I love it. And I like that as sort of like a vocal warm up that Fleetwood Mac would be. Dude, that's awesome.
Yes. Hmm.
That's really neat. Nice. For my third one on the list, my option C, it goes to the band is called the Lemonheads, and so their album It's a Shame About Ray. The I remember reading a review of it once where the person described it as just feeling effortless. It's like the kind of thing it feels like, Evan Dando was just making up the songs as he went. They just flowed so naturally. And the songs you sort of walked away thinking like, why didn't I come up with that? Like that's such a good such a good melody or such a good lyric. And the one lyrically that jumps out to me the most is a song called Bit Part, where it clocks in at 1 minute and 54 seconds, and it starts with this yelled introduction where someone is screaming, "I just want a bit part in your life. I just want a bit part in your life," and that ends up being the recurring vocal as well. Where it's very like much like most of the albums, acoustic driven with some electric layering, and the some of the lyrics that I just absolutely love and are he wants a little more than a cameo, a walk on would be fine, and he just wants a bit part in your life, rehearsing all the time, and so it's I just thought it was such a neat notion where often I think we look at people as being a part of our lives, but just shifting that perspective to be like it would be nice to be some sort of a portion of your existence as well. And when he jumps the vocal in the second half to the second octave, it's yeah, just adds that urgency to it and just yeah, love that idea of being a bit part in someone's life, but rehearsing all the time so you get to be a bigger part of it, hopefully as well.
Oh,
So
I
yeah.
I love that. I was not a Lemonheads fan when they were at the time. Everybody I know loved them. I didn't dislike them, but it just they weren't necessarily in my musical wheelhouse. So I remember that album was the one that everyone talked about. I have a compilation that I got years ago, probably 25 years ago or more. I have to see if that song is there. But I came around to really enjoying them.
Yeah.
So, and I love the the lyrical content you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yes.
Good choice.
Oh, thank you. And a tip of the hat to you, Rich. I remember you had a great line years ago when it was an artist you didn't particularly get as enthused about as other people did. You had a great line where you said, "I'll let other people enjoy them." And so it's a great way of framing it as like, no, it's a positive for you, so by all means enjoy. But
And now I'm one of those other people.
yeah,
So
that's good.
I'm looking forward to checking it out. Now, okay, so this is going to be a good segue because I wasn't sure where I was going to go on my last two,
Yeah,
but because the Lemonheads famously covered Mrs. Robinson by Simon and Garfunkel, I have gone with the 59th Street Bridge song "Feeling Groovy."
love it.
I mean, you have to have Simon and Garfunkel on a list somewhere, and so they're going to be my fourth choice. And having lived in Queens, I grew up in New York and I spent the first 49 years of my life there. I actually lived very close to the 59th Street Bridge, and I took many times I took a cab from my office back home driving over the 59th Street Bridge, and every single time that song popped into my
Yeah.
head. So it needs to be on this list. And the way you're shaking your head right now, I'm thinking maybe we have something in common.
No, 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 it's more shaking my head like, oh, I completely forgot about that one.
Oh, okay.
But that's the it's so not meant to be a total lowering my head in shame, but like, oh, good call, yeah. And much like the Lemonheads one's like, I wish I'd thought of that. That's a good choice.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so I'll try to be feeling groovy rather than shameful about omitting it. So that's good. No, excellent call. For my fourth one, I love the idea of a short song as the opening track to really almost be like an amuse-bouche for what's coming the rest of the way. And if you remember the early 2000s, there was that sort of wave of the bands, whether it was the White Stripes or the Hives or you name it. And potentially my favorite of the bunch at the time was the Vines. And the
Yeah.
opening track from their album and title track from their album, Highly Evolved, is just such a great like bursting the door open, announcing like here we are, and away they go. And it had all those sorts of like ingredients I really liked in songs at the time too, of the sort of palm muting the guitar in the verses, the hand clap to really drive it forward, and with some rattling with like tambourines or shakers in the the choruses to really just add that layer of percussion. And part of I think of the charm of a really good short song is that it leaves you wanting more. It's hooked you, and now you want to see what comes next. And on that particular album, I like how it was a bit of a misdirect too, where it was such huge energy out of the gate, but then it went in more of a atmospheric direction in the second song. So, but which again might be the argument in favor of a great song too, is that it doesn't necessarily give you more of what you thought you were getting, but it takes you in a different path. So, but I love the opener for Highly Evolved, and it's got to be on my list for that reason.
That's a great choice. Of all the bands that came out at that time, I think the Vines were my favorite. I only have that album, but I
Yeah.
haven't played it probably in 15 years
Yeah.
at least. So you've inspired me. I'm going to
Yeah.
take it out later today and give it a spin because I loved that record. I thought they
Yeah.
were really cool. I never continued with them. I know they had several other albums,
Yeah.
but I remember loving it when it came out. So I'm giving you two thumbs up for
Nice.
that choice. And also you're skewing the list a little more modern, where so far my songs are all from the 60s and maybe the beginning of the 70s.
I like
So
it. So we're
yeah,
covering a
so
bunch of decades, which is good.
yes.
I like it. And the list is whittled sufficiently to which track is your fifth one?
Oh boy. Well, will I have time afterwards to mention the ones that didn't make
Yeah,
the list?
until Zoom
Okay.
kicks us out, we're good.
Okay. I am looking through my list and I'm going to go with They Might Be Giants. So I'm going to go a little more modern. And there are two songs, and I love them from the first album, which is still my favorite. And there were a couple of songs on there that I considered including, but from the first album and even the second album, they have a song called Mr. Me, which is just so much fun. But I decided to go from their most popular album, Flood. There's a song called Particle Man, and it has some of the best lyrics. Of course, I didn't write them down, so people listening will have to go check it out. It's less than 2 minutes long, so it's not going to take much of your time. It's they're those guys, they're known as being kind of goofy and silly, and I think people don't take them seriously, but they are incredible songwriters and arrangers. And this was at a time in their career before they put a band together. So everything was done with drum machines and loops, and it was just the two of them, whatever was going on in their minds. And I think, I mean, there's plenty of songs on those first 4 or 5 albums that are incredible songs, but for the ones that are under 2 minutes, I think this kind of captures everything I love about them.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And Particle Man, I had on my honorable mentions, I had Particle Man slash minimum wage as
Yes,
my
I love it.
yeah, a friend of mine was telling me that Particle Man is even like it's celebrated at like science conferences and that sort of thing because it's
Is
brilliant
it?
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they also told me about I guess they had a like a dial a song phone line as well where you could
Yes.
call up and hear one of their tunes. Yeah.
I used to call it all the time when those first couple of albums came out and they were still a cult band. I used to call it almost every day, and literally every day they had, sometimes it was just a 10-second song snippet, and other times it would be a full 2 minute song.
But you had to call to find out, so I liked
Had to call. It was
it.
very much in the old days, and it was just on their answering machine in Brooklyn. And I guess they nowadays they probably couldn't get away with that because, well, nobody was making phone calls anymore.
Yeah.
But there was a point where they just couldn't sustain that.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun.
Oh, I
They're
love
such
it.
a fun band, and they're
Yeah.
still out there doing
Yeah.
it. Almost 40 years. I think it's more than 40 years since they formed.
Yeah. That's brilliant. And that's a group where like you're saying with the Vines, I loved the first album I was exposed to. Flood is Flood their first one in the discography too, or is
No,
it a
Flood is their third
the
album.
third album? Okay, that's the only one I know, but I loved it. But you've encouraged me to go back and explore more because they were batting 1,000 with that one so far. So
Yeah, and if I can remember correctly on Particle Man, my favorite lyric is when he's underwater, does he get wet or does the water get him instead?
so good. And it's I remember the Bare Naked Ladies having that similar issue where people sort of dismiss them as being, funny, silly, that sort of thing, but not realizing how solid musicians they actually were. And something
Yeah,
like Birdhouse in Your Soul, the key changes are so intricate and elaborate, but
yes,
like if people just dismiss it as I guess it's their loss if they dismiss it as
I
anything
agree.
but.
Yes, they can enjoy what they
Yes.
enjoy. We're gonna enjoy They Might Be Giants and Bare Naked Ladies. I wish I could have included a Bare Naked Ladies song. And actually, I thought last night after I had compiled my giant list that there's probably a couple of songs on the Bare Naked Ladies Christmas album
Yes.
that are under 2 minutes. And every year that is an essential listen for my wife and myself when we're putting together all of our decorations.
Yeah.
And there's probably at least 6 or 7 songs on there that will be worthy, but maybe keeping the holiday songs off of the list is a good idea.
Fair.
But I encourage your listeners this coming holiday season. I encourage them to check out the Bare Naked. I think it's called Bare Naked for Christmas.
Nice. I like that as part of the annual tradition. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice. And for me, something that's certainly an annual tradition is diving back into the Weezer mid 90s B-sides. And
Oh,
it was just an exceptional collection of the things that didn't make it onto the album. And there's probably a few I could have chosen from, but I like the one that gave me the most mileage within the category. And at least on the playlist I found, it was listed at 1 minute and 59 seconds, so just sneaking in with the track "You Gave Your Love to Me Softly." And
ooh,
it's one of those ones where I really like, as much as I love melodic Weezer and all those sorts of things, there's a part of me that really loves the really heavy Weezer as well, and this is one of their heavier tracks from the catalog. I like, and they knew if they knew they only had a constraint of 2 minutes, they followed it to the letter because the vocals jump right in right away. It's a really abrupt ending at the at the end. There's no fade out or anything like that, and it's just yeah, really solid. Rivers does a nice solo in it, and I could have chosen many Weezer B-sides from the 90s, but this is one that's definitely worth a look. You Gave Your Love to Me Softly.
which B-side, which album, and which song?
That is a wonderful question. I want to say it's alongside the Pinkerton one. I don't know what single it came from originally, but it was, I believe it was from the Pinkerton era. And
Okay,
so
which
the
which is probably my favorite Weezer era,
yes.
and I've heard all of it because I had the super deluxe edition that
Mhm.
has all the bonus tracks,
Yeah.
but that one is not jumping out at me, so I'm gonna have
Okay.
to find it and give it a listen.
Well,
But I love Weezer from back then, and I did continue. I think I've continued buying their albums until maybe 15 years ago,
mhm.
and then I'll listen to them, but
Yeah.
I stopped collecting.
Yeah.
But they were a pretty important band for me between 94 and say the early to mid
Yeah.
2000s. So I'm sure the song is great because I
Yeah.
trust your
It's
your musical taste.
and I have full trust in Rivers's abilities in that window too. So
Yeah.
he was pretty reliable in that phase of the career. Nice. The question is, what are some of the ones that either just exceeded the 2 minute mark or were also worthy of mention as well?
Well, okay, I don't have a list of the ones that exceeded. There were probably hundreds that would have if we were doing 210 or less,
Yes.
I probably could have had a whole different list. The first thing that jumped to mind is the band Delamitri, who are probably of the last 35 years. I discovered them around 1990, so that would be about 36 years. Probably my favorite band, and that I love pretty much everything they've done. Their most popular song, at least in the US, is Roll to Me, which I believe if you clocked it from beginning to end without the fade out of the last note is probably under 2 minutes. But I think it's probably about 210 officially, so I didn't include that. But here are, I'll rattle them off. These are the songs that are all under 2 minutes. There were three Buddy Holly songs, and I love Buddy Holly. So Words of Love, Rave On, and Think It Over. All three great songs. Love you, Buddy Holly. I wish he was still with us, even though I lost track. He'd probably be in his mid 80s at this point. But he could have had just one of the most amazing careers. But anyway, I love Buddy Holly, and those three songs were so close. Also, two Elvis Presley songs almost made the list. There's That's All Right, Mama, and All Shook Up. Two absolute rock and roll classics that could have and maybe should have been on this list. And then, okay, so Billy Bragg had a number of songs. I love Billy Bragg's early work, pretty much through the mid '90s. But back in the mid '80s, he had a song called "The Busy Girl" by his Beauty, and I think it was from his first or second album, and it was just him on guitar, just barking out the lyrics, and it's a favorite of mine. And I think we'll share a Spotify playlist once you post this, and I'm going to include that and all these other songs I'm mentioning. And then there's a few others. There's Herman's Hermits, I'm Henry the Eighth, I Am. There's Shooby Doo by the Cars, which is sort of a weird. It's on the Candy O album, their second album, and it was the sort of weird intro to the title track. But it kind of works on its own. Although on a playlist, it's going to cut off and probably not make any sense. But I love that song. And then the last two. I mean, there's the Ramones were known for songs that were probably 2 minutes and 20 seconds each. But they had their version of Do You Want to Dance that I think it might have been a Bobby Fuller song from the late 50s or early 60s, and the Beach Boys covered it. But the Ramones are the only ones that managed to do that song in under 2 minutes. And the last song I'm going to mention is, are you familiar with the band Rockpile?
No, not
Okay,
yet at
Rockpile.
least.
Okay, Rockpile was it was four guys. It was Dave Edmunds and Nick Lowe, who were pretty well known, and then they also had drummer Terry Williams and guitarist Billy Bremner. So the four of them would record. They were basically the backing band for Dave Edmunds albums and Nick Lowe albums, and even one Billy Bremner album. And then they released one album under their name called Seconds of Pleasure in 1980, and I think then they just had a falling out with each other, and they never worked together again. But there's a song on that album called Now and Always, which is just a throwback to the Everly Brothers and kind of a throwback to the music that the Beatles were into and brought over to the US, but I believe it was a newly written and newly recorded song in 1980. So Rockpile, for those who are not familiar, highly recommended. And again, that's going to be on the Spotify playlist.
Love it. And if that song was under 120 seconds of pleasure, then it fits. And so that's
Oh,
good.
nicely
That's good.
played. Well done. So I want to know, what did you have others that almost made the list? I can't wait to hear.
For sure. And it's funny, like when I went through that 1001 albums you must hear before you die book,
Mhm.
I did there was as the project went on, I did start to appreciate some of those 70s punk bands that were capable of doing 14 songs in 15 minutes or something like that, just to
Yeah.
to keep it efficient and keep it moving forward, which was nice. One tip of the hat to one group in particular. It's not a group I remember any of their other songs by, but one of the bands on that list was a band called the cheerfully titled Napalm Death, and the
Hmm.
song is called You Suffer, and I think it's all of 1.36 seconds or something like that. So it's just a barrage of noise for about a second, but I thought, in the interest of like what's under 2 minutes, well, you could do that one, 100 times, and it would fit in the category. Um, I also had the Smiths, Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want was I think it was around 153 or so. White Stripes Fell in Love with the Girls under the 2 minute threshold, which is a good one. The Beatles had I Will, and Radiohead also has a song called I Will that I believe meets the criteria as well. Tori Amos has a few beautiful parts like Mr. Zebra, and I think Graveyard fits the bill as well. I think the Blind Melon song Skinned meets the criteria too. You had the Beach Boys there. I think some of the tunes from I really enjoyed Brian Wilson's Smile, like the long delayed recording Smile. I think some
Yes.
of those meet the criteria as well. A couple of the ones that were close. I love Nick Drake's Pink Moon, but I think it's 204, and so it's
Oh,
so close.
I th-
And
I think we would have had one in common if that
yeah,
one had made it under 2 minutes.
yeah.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah, and the exact same time 204 for Thresh Hermits from the back of the film as well. I believe some of the ones from the South Park soundtrack were nice and short as well, that have a fond association as well. And yeah, the I'm sure the list could go from there, but lots of good ones. And you mentioned Billy Bragg, and I think his if we were to ever discuss the top album names, Talking with the Taxman about poetry's got to
Yes,
be right up there too. So.
I agree. I love that album. And one of the songs on that album is Levi Stubbs' Tears,
Mhm.
which he is a tribute to Levi Stubbs from the Four Tops.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's a great album and great title. That maybe that's a subject for another
I like
episode in the
it.
future, is album titles. And maybe album titles where the album actually lives up to the title.
Oh, I like that.
So something to think about.
I like it. Nice. And I appreciate that this one was a challenge, and you took 10 and made it five, and it all came together in the end. So,
Whew. And I'm
So-
probably gonna, I'll probably regret that. Oh, I chose that one instead of this one. But that's okay. The Spotify
yeah,
playlist that we'll share is gonna have all these
yeah,
songs, but we'll do our top five at the top, and it's gonna be a very listenable playlist. I would imagine that, well, even if we have 30 songs, it'll be an hour long.
yeah.
So very easy to listen to, as opposed to the last one, the 6 hour playlist of songs over 10 minutes long. So you're welcome
Yeah.
to anybody listening.
We're giving you more with less. And so it's good. I like it. Well, a huge thanks again for coming, Rich, and until the inevitable fifth discussion.
All right, sounds good. And thank you for the challenge. I really appreciate it. Take care, Jeff.
Cheers. This has been the 1002nd Album Podcast. Thanks for sharing some of your time, energy, and attention with us today. Take care.